So, as much as I don't want to admit it, it is time for a cutthroat palette declutter because I would like to get some more palettes, but I really can't until I get rid of the ones I have. So, let's begin. I know I say this every time, but it bears repeating, okay? I'm not getting rid of any of my luxury palettes at this time. And if I do, they're going to end up on like Mercari. I will sell them. Okay. Had to get that out of the way. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Oblong Polka Dots and my name is Kerr, and on this channel we talk about makeup, skincare, and beauty. So if that's something you're into, you've come to the right place. Hola a todos, bienvenidos a mi canal Oblong Polka Dots. Me llamo Kerr y en este canal hablamos de maquillaje, cuidado de piel y belleza. Entonces, si eso es algo que te gusta, has venido al lugar correcto. Welcome. You guys, here's the thing. I have too many palettes. And the reason why I know is because I want more palettes, but I don't have enough room for more palettes. Also, if you hear my son, he's sick. He was out sick today. He has a terrible cold, so I'm sorry if you hear him like blowing his nose and sneezing and stuff, but he's not feeling well. All right, so back to this. Tengo demasiado palettes. ¿Cómo se dice palettes en español? Let me know in the comments. So I have too many palettes and I want to buy more palettes, but I need to get rid of some palettes. And I've done a lot of decluttering on this channel, but I'm looking at my collection and realizing I have a lot of redundancies, and there's some things I'm keeping because it's like nostalgia more than necessity. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try, let me scoot this stuff out the way. We're going to try and be a little more cutthroat and truly just go through what it is I'm not going to keep. I can tell you up front, I'm not getting rid of any of my luxury palettes. So the Dior, Chanel, that kind of stuff, even my Pat McGrath, I'm not ready to let go of yet. But the rest of it, I'm just going to have to like come to a conclusion here. So I have one of 3 boxes in front of me, and it's really heavy, and this is probably going to be a long video. So get a snack, grab something to drink, and let's get into this. First off, this is a Pat McGrath palette. I just told you I'm not getting rid of any luxury stuff, so that's that. This Morphe palette I really love a lot. Let me show you what it looks like. And this is the problem, you guys, is because I love them all, but you can't love all of them, right? Because I have this palette over and over again in other palettes. So I'm going to give you an example. Hold on. Here's an example sitting right here in front of me. This one. This one is also from Morphe, and it is the Vava Bloom palette. Okay, well, maybe this is not a very good example. Do I have the one? I do. Hold on. Let me grab another one. There's going to be a lot of moving around in this video. I can tell you right now. So just bear with me, please. Okay. This is from one of the other boxes up there. This is a Morphe palette. And when you look in this palette, this is what it looks like. Does this look familiar? Let me show you what I'm talking about. You just saw this one. Tell me you did not just see colors in the one I was holding up that are the same as these. I know you did. I did too. This is kind of what I'm talking about, is that I have a lot of palettes that are absolutely redundant or breakdowns of other palettes. So this is that Vava Bloom palette. And again, you probably just saw the colors in that bigger palette in this palette. So they're all from Morphe. All three of them I really love. They're all quite beautiful. But you know what? I don't need three. So this is the kind of redundancy I'm talking about, and this is why I need to be a little more cutthroat about what it is I'm going to keep and what it is I'm going to get rid of. Of these three, ooh, girl, of these three, right, I need to get rid of one because I basically have a large, medium, small. I should probably get rid of two. And if I'm going to get rid of two, I might as well get rid of the two that are redundancy of the other one, these two. See what I'm saying? That was very easy, wasn't it? So let's just go through and figure it out. All right. This is a keeper because it's a keeper. And then, let's see, I got one of these from a friend and I picked one up in the store. And again, this is a redundancy, so we're going to get rid of this one. Okay, maybe this isn't going to be as hard as I thought it was. Maybe. Try not to make too much noise here. Okay, next we have, I just used this for the first time. It's the Morphe Madison Beer Channel Surfing Artistry Palette. And I kind of want to hold on to this one because I just opened it. But at the same time, it's like, don't you have these colors somewhere else? Yes, I do. I have these colors in other palettes. As beautiful as this is, it's got to go. See? Not bad. Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. This I'm keeping. It's not going anywhere, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the Oma palette. It's called Black Magic. It's very similar to another palette I'll probably come across here in this video, but I'm not getting rid of this. Period. I love this palette. That's the other thing. If I love it, you know, like the Marie Kondo method, I'm keeping it because I have a value in my heart. So this one's from Nomad. It's absolutely beautiful, but there's a different Nomad palette that I want. So I'm going to get rid of this Nomad palette and I'm going to buy that Nomad palette instead. Wow, this isn't as hard as I thought it would be. These palettes from Viseart, I absolutely adore. I love them. And I'm going to keep them because their formula is spectacular. But that means if I have other palettes in my collection that these are similar to, I'm going to get rid of those. So we're going to keep all of these. And there's several here. I'll show you really quick. That's 2, 3. I use this one a lot. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 Viseart palettes. They run the spectrum. I have them sitting in front of me, so now I have a better idea of what I can reach for and get rid of. This palette right here, I know that had to be loud. Sorry, guys. This palette right here from Nabla, as cute as it is, I have this palette already. I know I do, so it has to go. Whew, much easier than I thought. I'm keeping this one because it's an all shimmer palette, and I don't have but 2 all shimmer palettes. So that one stays. This is from Flower Beauty. It's the Desert Lights palette. It stays. This goes. It's LA Girl. I've used it a few times and I don't much care for it. Let me open it for you. So, and I already have these colors in a million other palettes. So it's going to go. This one is from this one's from Alter Ego. I almost said Coastal Scents. Y'all remember them? This is from Alter Ego. It's the Coastal palette. It's pretty. It's supposed to be a dupe for one of the Huda palettes, but I have not reached for this at all since I shared it with you in a video, so it has to go. This one is, oops. This one's another Alter Ego palette, and this one is the Midsummer palette. It's very pretty. I really like these shades over here especially, but I'm not reaching for it, so it has to go. Ooh, wow, much easier than I thought. This one is from Melt Cosmetics. It's called She's in Parties, and I have these colors already. I love this palette though. I waited so long to buy this, and when I finally got it, it arrived damaged. I don't know. I'm going to get rid of this palette because I know I already have these shades. I have them already, so I don't need to keep a palette that's been damaged. It's just going to mess with my head. This one's from Tres Luce, La Flor de Mexico. I like this palette a lot. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm keeping it. This one is Luster from Alter Ego. I really like this palette. I think it's supposed to be a dupe for one of the Pat McGrath palettes. That's what the lid looks like. And, oh, you know what I really like about this palette? It's a neutral. I love neutral palettes so much, and I like there's like a duochrome there at the top. Okay, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep it. If I hesitate that long, I want to keep it. It's a palette that I like. I'll reach for it easily and have. Okay, next we have this one, which I'm also going to keep, but I'll show it to you. It's from Colored Rain. It's the Safari Rain palette, and this palette, you guys, is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Let's see. I'm going to go like this. The way these shadows show up on my skin tone is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I'm keeping this palette. This one is from September Rose. It's the Brew palette. And this is what it looks like. Oop. I am not keeping this palette. I have these colors in multiple other palettes. I never reach for this one because I have these colors in multiple other palettes. So it's gotta go. Okay. Next up, I have a slew of BH Cosmetics palettes. Let's quickly go through these. This is the Avocado Toast. If you don't know already, green is my favorite color. And this is a green dominant palette, so I'm keeping it. Oops. Do you guys keep these little plastic slips that like go over the shadows, or do you get rid of them? Could you let me know in the comments? Because I swear sometimes I throw them out and sometimes I keep them. This one is Smitten in Switzerland, also BH Cosmetics. And, ooh, don't drop it. That's what this one looks like. I really like this color story a lot because it's just kind of unique. It's got that blue in there and then that orange that's right around the corner right here. But sometimes a unique color story is not enough to keep me. And although this palette is beautiful, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to get rid of it. Then I have the Weekend Vibes Blueberry Muffin. And I love blue. I do really well with blue eyeshadow, but I just don't reach for this one because I would reach for my Juvia's Place before I reach for this one, so this one has to go. This one is Trendy in Tokyo. Beautiful palette. Let me show you what it looks like. This one is one of the few palettes that I have that's a rainbow palette, so I'm keeping this one. It's beautiful. I love this palette. So pretty. And the looks you can come up with are really amazing. This one is Love in London. Ooh, girl! Trying to be cute holding up palettes and dropping them. So this is Love in London, and who is surprised that it's a neutral palette? No one. It's so pretty. This is one of those palettes that is an absolute easy reach, and I feel like if I get rid of it, I'm going to regret it. So I'm going to keep this one. This is Paris. And this is what Paris looks like. Again, it's a beautiful palette, but it's blue heavy and purple. And I would go to my Juvia's place before going to BH Cosmetics for that. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Whew. Well, we are making some headway here. This is good. This is the Empowered palette by Huda Beauty. Admittedly, I have only used it once, but I'm keeping it. This is just a really easy reach. I mean, it's all neutrals, so neutrals with a little bit of sparkle makes it super easy for me. This next kind of row of shadows are all nostalgia. Nostalgia. So I don't know if I want to get rid of these because my heart is in it. You know what I mean? So this one I finally opened the other day after owning it for years. It's the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, and that's what it looks like. Lots of neutrals. It's so pretty, but you know what? Keeping something for the sake of nostalgia is keeping something for the sake of nostalgia. And I think I would rather make a little more room in my collection for something I'm going to reach for. So as much as it pains me, this is going to go. I just got this one and I love it so much. This is that, well, not just got, but I got it over the summer. This is that Cosmos palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I don't know why I keep it in the box, but I do. This is what it looks like, and it's beautiful. I don't have another palette in my collection that is exactly like this one or even similar. So I'm keeping this because I think it's gorgeous and it makes some of the prettiest looks. I need to reach for it a lot more often. This one I'm keeping. It's the ABH Jackie Aina collaboration. Brand new in the box. This one I'm keeping. It's the Jackie Aina ABH collaboration. This is the one that I use and will continue to use to death until it finally expires. And then I can open the other one. Oops, sorry. Then I can open the other one. But this is probably, well, not probably, this is one of my top 5 palettes, period, over the course of all the years that I have been collecting makeup, by far. Jackie Aina knew what she was doing when she made this palette. It's unrivaled. There has been no other palette that has come on the market that can replace this. She just knows what she's doing. This one I've had forever. It's the Lorac Unzipped palette. I love a neutral, as you well know, but I've had this so long. I don't know. It smells fine, but I have other neutral palettes now, so I think it's time to let this one go. This is another one from Lorac, I love Lorac palettes so much. This is actually the second of this one. I actually have owned this palette before, and this was the replacement of it because I used the other one to death. But if you look at it, who's surprised? It's a bunch of neutrals. But I have so many new neutrals. I never reach for this anymore, even though this used to be like my favorite palette. I love this so much, but it's time to go. This one is the Lorac Pro Los Angeles. It is the kind of cousin or sister to the one that I just showed you. And again, oops, let me take that off. I already have so many other neutral palettes that I reach for. I think that this light's washing this out, you guys. If I hold it like this, you can see it better. But I just don't reach for it. So it's got to go. This one is also from Lorac. Lorac's a fantastic brand, you guys. This is one of my newer acquisitions. This is the Fairy Tale Forest palette. I just bought this one this year, as a matter of fact, and this reminds me a lot of that Urban Decay Born to Run palette. So this one has more jewel tones in it, and I'm going to keep this one. This palette I'm keeping for nostalgia purposes only. It is too old for me to use, but it's the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and this is the very first palette, and probably only palette, that my husband has ever bought for me, and I can't let it go. I love it. He bought it years and years ago when it first came out, and I've held on to it. It still smells amazing like chocolate, but I'm not getting rid of this because he bought it for me. This is one of the Urban Decay Naked palettes. This is the Smoky palette. And let's see, that's what it looks like. I feel like these colors are beautiful, but I really don't do like enough smoky eyes to justify keeping this in my collection because I really only reach for it on like super specific occasions. If I go to a gala or some kind of fundraiser or brunch or something like that, then I'll reach for it. Otherwise, I reach for other things. So I'm going to have to get rid of this one. It will go to a new home. This one is another nostalgic one. I used to use this constantly. It's the Urban Decay Naked palette. This is the Naked 3, the pink version. I love this palette so much. I used it a ton. But I wouldn't reach for this anymore. I would definitely reach for something else. And not to mention, it's taking up room in my collection. So it's got to go. This one is one of the re-releases of the original Naked palette. So I'm keeping it in the box. It is strictly for nostalgic purposes. I have not used it at all. It's fine. It's not expired. But I bought it because I just wanted it so I could go down memory lane every once in a while. This is the Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals palette. This is a palette that I picked up this year. And I have, I think, only used it maybe once, if at all. I think I kept reaching for it and then grabbing for other stuff instead. But it's a neutral palette. And not only is it a neutral palette, but it's heavy on the browns, heavy on chocolate. And I love me a brown shadow. Can you see that? So I'm keeping this for sure. This is one of those palettes that I know once it starts into my rotation, I'm just going to keep using it until the wheels fall off. So keeping that. Trying to fly through this as quickly as I can, you guys. One, it's a little bit late for me. And then two, I don't want this video to go on forever and ever. I waited so long to buy these palettes. Like, I feel like I waited forever to buy these palettes, and I got them when they were on sale. And I bought them together, I believe. So these are the Gemini palettes, and I have the Gemini 2, and then this is the Gemini. So this is the first one, and this is what it looks like. Okay, but why have I not used these? I think I probably used both of them once, and that's it. And I love green. So your girl needs to jump on it. I'm going to keep that one. And I'm going to keep this one too, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the Gemini 2. Again, these colors are so pretty. I don't know why I know why I don't reach for these. You know why? Because I have so many palettes. When you have a ton of palettes that you could reach for, and you have like the one or two that just sits closest to you all the time, then like you just keep reaching for those. Let me clean up this pile. I'm going to grab the other box and we'll continue the video. Give me a minute, okay? Okay, whew, that was a workout pulling this box down. There's so much stuff sitting in front of me. It's a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, I'm keeping these. I have them in my little Sephora case, but these are my Chaos Dirt shadows, a brand that I recently was told about by a friend of mine here on YouTube. I really love these shadows. They're so pretty, beautiful, and they work well with a lot of other shadows that I already have. Keeping this, I love it so much. It's from Juvia's Place. It's a Culture palette. This is the predecessor to the Culture 2. I'll show you what it looks like. Look at this. But do you see what I mean now? What I'm talking about when I say I would rather reach for a Juvia's Place palette? Girl, stop. You know what I'm talking about. Look at this. Look at this. You know. You know. So that would be why. These Juvia's Place palettes, you guys, they have me in a chokehold. I don't know what else to say. This is the Your Golden palette from ColourPop. I waited a long time to buy this too because what we wasn't going to do was pay full price for it. I wanted it, but I just didn't want to pay full price. So I waited for it and waited for it and it went on sale. This is the palette. And then this one's a little bit heavier than some of their other ones. This is what it looks like. This palette is so pretty. It's got a million neutrals in it. It's got that beautiful icy blue at the top and this like fantastic blue right here at the bottom. However, I don't reach for it because I'll reach for something else before I grab for this one. And I don't know why. These are all colors that I love. So instead of holding on to it, because I waited so long to get it and wanted to get it when it was on sale and did, I'm not going to do that anymore. If I don't reach for it and I'm not going to use it because I'm reaching for something else, then it's time for it to go. So it's going. And I'm sure some of you are like, oh my gosh, girl, didn't you just buy that? Didn't you just buy that one? Yes, I did. Several of these, but I'm not keeping in my collection what it is I don't reach for. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Just to hold on to it, just to say that I have a lot of palettes. Get out of here with that. Nobody cares. I have to be able to use my stuff. This is that Culture 2 palette from Juvia's Place, which is equally as beautiful. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Again, Juvia's Place is just eating it up. This is ridiculous. This takes the place of like probably every palette that I just kept. It really does. It's got neutrals, it's got jewel tones, it's got dual chromes. So these two palettes alone, make a whole collection. Just pointing that out. Moving on. This one I just shared with you guys. It just came out. It's the Naruto palette. I told you guys I'm going to give it another try, and I will. But if I try this one more again and it doesn't work for me, it's definitely going to be decluttered. Because these colors were such a pain in the butt to work with. I don't know. Do you guys have this palette? Have you used this? I need to probably watch somebody else's channel and see how they used it, because I had just... Whew, the struggle is real. I'll put it to you like this. I don't believe this is their best quality work. I'll say it like that. This is a fantastic palette. It is going nowhere. This is from LA Girl Cosmetics, and it is the Sun-Kissed Glow palette. This is what the palette looks like. This palette is worth its weight in gold. All of these shades, all of them are so saturated. They blend so seamlessly. Oh my gosh. If I had one criticism for this palette, it would be this shade right here. This one. Because for whatever reason, they decided to take a matte black and put like a little bit of sparkle in it. Girl, stop. You didn't need to do that. That was unnecessary. It's like bringing sand to the beach. This is another great palette from LA Girl. This is one of the Pro Mastery palettes. And let me show you what it looks like. It's another fantastic neutral, but these are like pinks. Like more neutralish pinks. They're pinks with like brown in them. I'm keeping this palette, you know I am. But I just want to show it to you because it's so pretty. I love this palette so much. Honey, this is an easy reach for me. A very easy. And it comes with a giant mirror. Very easy reach. Here's another one that's in that same series. It's called Hey Hey Vacay. This one has some beautiful, beautiful greens in it. I'm going to take this plastic off. I was going to try keeping the plastic, but it's like kind of gross. Look at this quad of greens right here. Right here. Actually, this one too, right here, that gold. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And they blend so easily. Get your hands on this palette. If you like green, do it. Obviously, that's a keep. This is one of the other ones from that Pro Artistry deal. And of all of them, this is the one I'm going to get rid of. I know. The reason I wanted to keep it at first is because of like this row right here. But I realized that I have other palettes that I can reach for long before this one. So this one's going to go. Okay. And then what else do we have? This is a Juvia's Place Candy Shop palette. I like this one a lot. I kept looking at this palette over and over and over again when I was in the store. Just walking past it over it. And finally I was like, just buy the palette. Just buy it. And I'm glad that I did because it's so pretty. And it's an easy reach and you can make really fun looks with it. So that's that. Oh, look, hey, it's another one from LA Girl. Wow, what a surprise. Same line. This one is also pink. But this one is pink and it has yellow in it. Girl, pick one. Pick one and then that's it. You don't need like all of them. But I do. I need them all. I need them all. You don't. You don't need them all, honey. You really don't. Okay. I'm going to let this one go. Goodbye, my friend. And this is the last one from that line. This is the Festy Bestie. This is, I believe, the only other rainbow palette I have in my collection besides the one I showed you earlier from BH Cosmetics. So I feel like 2 rainbow palettes is okay. 27,000 pink palettes is probably not okay. This one I really enjoy. It's from Juvia's Place. I'm not getting rid of it. It's the coffee shop. You guys have seen this before. Tons of browns. You can make a neutral look. You can make a smoky look. You can make... Why am I holding these so awkwardly? You can do whatever you want with this one. It's really beautiful. And you can use this with a lot of different tones. You have a whole column here that's very similar to that new Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette that I did not buy. It says I need a nude, but honey, those are not my nudes. Those are not my nudes. Those are someone else's nudes, and I hope they enjoy them. I just bought these 3, and actually I thought I had 4. No? Nope. I guess I have 3. I just bought these. No, I do. That's what it was. I have an order that's coming in. There's one more coming in of these, but clearly I like them because I ordered another one. These are such an easy reach. These are from CoverGirl. They're the clean color little quads, and they are highly pigmented. The colors blend very well, and they last all day. So if you're looking for a affordable option, don't buy this until it's on sale or you have a coupon, by the way, because they're $13.99 for a quad. Don't spend that much money on this. But if you're looking for an affordable option, I recommend these. Whew. Okay. We have a couple Pat McGrath palettes here. These little guys right here, I reach for, oops, it's backwards. These little guys I reach for all the time, constantly, at least once a week, if not more. So I'm keeping them, but I'll show you what they look like. That's the little pink one. Some of my most complimented looks have come from this palette right here. And then this is the little purple one. Again, I've received a lot of compliments when I've used this palette as well. So, yeah, boy. These 2 are also from Pat McGrath. They are Quints. I'll show you what these look like. That's one of them. And the thing about these is, I don't know, I think I might actually get rid of these. I don't reach for these nearly as much as I reach for those little tiny palettes. But I kind of want to give these a chance because maybe I don't reach for them because I keep reaching for the little ones. So I'm going to let them survive this round, and then we're gonna see what happens after that. We'll see if they survive the next round. But here's this one right here. They may not. They may not add up to those little tiny palettes. Those little ones are awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys, so much stuff in front of me. But I need to do this. So this is a Morphe palette, and this is the Deep Smoky 3A. I have not used this palette at all, so I'm going to get rid of it. But the reason I bought that is because there's another one that they had, and it's probably not even in here. I have it somewhere else in my collection that I have worn to death and absolutely loved. So, all right, so these kind of survived the last purge, so to speak, and I still have not reached for them, so that means I need to get rid of them. I collected most of them at one point, and they are fantastic palettes, don't get me wrong, but this, for example, cannot hold a candle to this. It just can't. I don't know what else to say. This is not comparable to this, and this is what I will reach for first. So we're going to get rid of this one and all of its little friends. But I'll show you what they look like. And you can see I've worn this to death. Love it. Love it. I just love a good neutral. What can I say? Here's another one. Wow, it's a neutral. What a surprise. Who's surprised? No one. Okay. So let me hold these up quickly so you can see them, and we'll keep it moving. This one is the only one I kind of hesitate on. It's the Down to Earth. But again, I have a whole matte palette from Makeup by Mario that I really like a lot. I reached for long before I would even think of this one. So that's got to go. And then I did give the Joa shop, Joa, I think is what it's called, this brand. I did give Joa a try, trying to see if they were comparable to the ColourPop ones, but I'm not going to reach for these. I'm really not. Especially with all the other ones I just showed you. So I tried them, but they're going to go. There's that one, and there's this one right here. See how it looks very similar to the ColourPop one, and then this nude one here. They're not bad. I'm not going to reach for them. Yeah. Okay. This one I was keeping because this brand is now defunct. It is Midas Cosmetics, and this is the decaf palette, and that's what it looks like. And you can see I've used it, but I already have these colors. I have these colors in my collection, you guys. I already have them. So this has to go. And then this last one here from Lorac is one of my most beloved palettes all day long. You can see the dent in these shadows. I'm not getting rid of this. Your girl is about to ride this palette till the wheels fall off. I love it. It's one of my most beloved palettes. So good. Don't sleep on these smaller palettes, you guys. You can make some really beautiful looks. This is not a box of chocolates from ColourPop. I don't know why I own this and this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what I mean, where I have so many redundancies in my collection. It's ridiculous. Like, get it together, girlfriends. No, they're not the same formula. They are slightly different. Yes, these palettes are very, very similar in terms of the looks that I can do. I just want to show you what they look like side to side. I hope it's in frame. I'm sure it is. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? And yet, you already know what time it is. You know I'm going to keep them both. You know I'm going to keep them both. I don't have to explain myself. You know it. You know this is a problem. Kerr and her neutral palettes. It's these palettes that have these beautiful, rich, chocolatey browns and like slightly like reddish brown colors, and then those golds and pewters. Those palettes have me in a choke hold. Here I have a ton of Natasha Denona palettes. I am getting rid of none of these, but I will show them to you. This one is the Glam Face right here. This one is the Zendo. This one, what am I doing? Hold on. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. This one is the Bronze. This is my favorite Natasha Denona palette. This is my dream. What is this called again? Yeah, my dream palette. I love this one. Absolutely, this is my favorite of them all. If I had to get rid of every Natasha Denona palette and could only keep one, this is the one I would keep. This is the Retro palette. Oops. And we have the Sunset. I don't know, actually. Now I'm wondering if I'm going to eat my words here. Maybe I should get rid of the Sunset because I never reach for this one because I reach for the other ones instead. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so tell me this is not very similar to the chocolate box, or not a box of chocolates, and the Juvia's Place coffee shop one. The only difference would be if you kind of hide this one and then hide that one. I don't know. I'm going to keep it for now, but maybe I'll reconsider later. This is the Glam palette. I'll take it out the box so you can see it. The only reason I've kept these last 4 in a box is because I haven't filmed with them yet. And I tend to keep things in boxes so I can remember to film with it. This would be the answer of the I need a nude, but for someone that's more my shade. This one is the Love palette. The Love palette. There you go. This one is very similar to the Retro palette, I think. Very similar. And that would be a reason for me to pick one or the other and get rid of one. These last two are the big ones, bigger ones, I should say. This is the Lila palette. I wanted this palette forever. I was so happy when I got it, and now it's just been sitting in my collection, collecting dust. Again, this is very similar to the Retro and the Love palette because of the shadows. But this one is more jewel toned, and I love jewel tones. I think they look really good contrasting with my skin tone. And this last one is the Viva palette. I don't think people like this one very much, but I do. I always felt like people were not really giving it the love it deserved. This is the Viva palette. And probably because it's a neutral. Straight up neutrals, you guys. I love neutrals. I don't know, but I like this palette a lot, so I'm keeping it. Okay. Let's flip this box around and see what else we're working with here. I didn't get rid of too much on this side, did I? Tisk tisk. Right off the bat, I have these two little MAC palettes. I think they're fantastic. MAC is really making a comeback, you guys. Look at their packaging. Look at that. Tell me that's not beautiful. And although all of these colors are existing, I think that putting them in this packaging and then just the layout, I think they did a really good job with it. This is a palette that I've taken traveling with me, so it's a little bit beat up, but it does the trick. And as always, MAC has that formula that is just tried and true. Here's the other one. And this one, of course, is more neutral browns, like a pinky neutral browns. So I like this one a lot. They're very easy to reach for. Like I said, I've actually taken both of those traveling with me and I love them. This is that other all shimmer palette. This is the Jungle Lights one. So I'm keeping that because I only have two all shimmer palettes and they're pretty easy to reach for. This next bunch, I believe, are going to be ColourPop. So these survived the last purge. But I'm thinking that they may not survive this purge, and let me tell you why. I don't reach for them. I keep reaching for all of these other palettes instead of these. And I'm not saying I don't love ColourPop anymore, but I'm saying that maybe like the time for these palettes has come. I enjoyed them. I used them and I love them so much, but I think it's just time to let them go. I'm not going to reach for this before I reach for this one. I'm going to reach for this one first. The Pat McGrath one. Are you going to show up on camera? There we go. I'm going to reach for this before I do this. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Mind you, I wore the crap out of this one. But I'm just not going to wear it anymore. This one I didn't get till fairly recently. It's the Orchid You Not. But again, I'm just not going to reach for this one. So sad. Someone else will love it. They will. This is a Lucky Penny. And it's got a lot of coppery tones in it. And when I do wear it, I just think it's so beautiful. But you know what? I have a Colored Rain palette that I think is going to take the place of this one. So this one is also going to go. This is the Star Wars Mandalorian palette. And I love Star Wars so much. Obviously I watched the movies, read the books. Any Timothy Zahn fans out there? So, and I just think I bought this because I am a Star Wars fan. and not necessarily because I'm going to reach for this and use it. So it's got to go. And this last one is called Wild Child, and it's another neutral. This one, though, I would reach for before I would the copper or the penny one, the lucky penny. But again, I already have all of these. I have these, you guys, many times over already in my collection. So it's gonna go. All right, there's a few more here. I have another one of those MAC palettes, one of the new ones. This is one of the bigger ones. I think I only bought one of the bigger ones because the other two didn't necessarily appeal to me, or maybe about two of the bigger ones. I don't remember, but I love this color story. This color story, this is a Kerr color story for sure. And I've definitely reached for this and I've used it, so keeping it. This one is another just kind of like, oh, I should keep it because of the nostalgia. This is the Witchy Hour. It's from Hocus Pocus. It's a collaboration with ColourPop. And it's one of my other kind of rainbow palettes, but I don't need three. I don't need three. Ooh, hey, reflection. I don't need three. I don't. So this one's gonna go. Okay. We have another MAC palette. I knew I had another big one. This one's pretty too. This one is more like orangey, so this is perfect for the coming season, for the Halloween kind of, you know, All Hallows Eve season. So I'm keeping this. Again, MAC knows what they're doing. Their formula is perfection, top shelf. Everything I'm about to show you is going to be from Alter Ego, but before that, I'm going to show you this Juvia's Place palette. This is the Nubian. I have now owned this palette 3 times. 3. I don't know what's gotten into me. I had it, got rid of it, had it, got rid of it, and now here I go again. I have it again, and I'm going to get rid of it again because I have other Juvia's Place palettes that take the place of this palette. I don't know why I bought this again for the 3rd time, but good grief, girl, get it together. Get it together. Hard-headed. Whew. Okay, this is Canyon. And if you guys haven't tried the Alter Ego palettes, they are all supposed to be dupes of something else, be it a ton from Natasha Denona or from Pat McGrath. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and get rid of these because I already have a ton of Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath palettes, and I think somebody else will be able to get use out of them, but I'll show them to you. So it's Canyon. This is Shadow Kiss. This one is Blooms. This one is Goddess. Goddess is supposed to be a dupe of a palette that I actually don't own by Natasha Denona. So, nope. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Get rid of it. You don't need it. Get rid of it. This is Aurora. Did you see that? I had a moment of weakness. And then this last one is Harmony. So I just managed to get rid of all my Alter Ego palettes except for like 1 or 2. Okay, we have 1 more box to go, you guys. Let me grab it. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are down to the last box. Holy moly, this is going to be such a long video. If you have been able to hang in there with me, thank you so much. I have tried to declutter this palette several times, and one of the reasons why I'm having trouble with it is I actually will declutter palettes and then mail them to one of my subbies. Hey girl, you know who you are. But every time I go to mail it, it's too big. So I keep pulling it out. This time I'm just going to ask them for a bigger box to send this off to. All right, let's see. Where do we begin? At the beginning. Green is my favorite color, if you guys already knew that. Yay! If you didn't, welcome to my channel. And yeah, green's my favorite color. I don't know what else to say. So anytime I have a green palette, especially if it's Juvia's Place, it's probably not going to be decluttered. Okay, we also have here, let's see, this is the Midas Cosmetics Cool Nudes Unveiled palette. I've used this a few times, but for me, it's not something I'm going to reach for before I reach for other palettes. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Just typical pink nudes. And let's see. Holy crap, this pile is so big. I hope I don't drop anything. I think a lot of the next palettes are all Juvia's Place. So I'm going to be hard pressed to get rid of any of them, but we're going to see. This is the Nubian 2. And this is what it looks like. It looks like I've never used this palette, but I promise you I have. However, I'm not going to keep it because I think I have other palettes from her that I would reach for before I reach for this one. So, wow. Surprised myself, especially with this green in the corner. Oh man, that is a whole situation. Good job. Okay, this one I just got not too long ago. This is the Warrior 3. I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's the purple right there in the middle. I can't give this palette up, you guys. I just can't do it. So dramatic, I know. This is the Warrior. Here's another palette I've used, but it looks like I haven't touched. It's all neutrals. I already have an all neutral Juvia's Place palette, as you saw. So we're going to get rid of this one. This is the Nomad. I've used this a few times. Actually, more than a few times, because there's a color in here I really love. This one right here. I've reached for a million times, but not going to keep it. It's got to go. Boy, this gets easier and easier, doesn't it? Nice. This is from Milani. It is one of the all-inclusive palettes, so eye, cheek, and face. And that's what that looks like. And it does come with a mirror. Here it is. I've had this palette for a hot minute, and I have not used it. So it's gotta go. Bye. This is from Mented. It's going nowhere. It's one of the most beautiful palettes I own, but I will show it to you. It's the Everyday palette. And talk about some of the prettiest nudes. The way that they go onto my skin is like butter. It's like butter. This would be a good contender to fight with that Makeup by Mario palette, because arguably I would reach for this one before I reach for that one. Good job, Mented. Next we have Ace Beauté. I just did a video using this palette. I'm not getting rid of it, but I'll show you what it looks like. It is my third rainbow palette, but hear me out. The Ace Beauté formula, you guys, is so pigmented. So pigmented. Like, whew. Yeah, little tiny, let's dab it in there just a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to be like, holy crap, there's so much on my brush. This is from Unearthly Cosmetics. It's called Fall Magic. I think I got this last year, I think. Here's what the palette looks like. It's really pretty, especially this color right here. This one and this one. But I never, ever, ever, ever reach for it. Never reach for it. So it's gonna go. And I try to support indie brands, I really do. But if I'm not gonna reach for your stuff, I'll send you to someone else and they'll probably reach for you instead. This one is another one. This is from Alien Cosmetics, which I think used to be called something else. I'm pretty sure this Alien Cosmetics was called something different. But this is the Poison Apple. And let's see. I had to be on a waiting list. Hold on. I was on a waiting list to get this palette. It was like sold out for a while. And then I ended up picking up, I think I picked it up last year. Either last year or the year before. But this is what the palette looks like. And look at these giant pans. These pans are so huge. They're like comically big. They're comically big, you guys. The reason I'm keeping this palette, you can see I have not used it, but let me explain myself. The reason I'm keeping this is because this color story is so unique. I don't have anything like this in my collection at all. And the pans are so, they're stupid big. There's just something about this I find hilarious. So it's going to survive this particular purge. Maybe I'll get rid of it next time if I haven't used it. But yeah, it's a keeper. Okay, and then we have another Ace Beauté palette. Again, warning you guys, super duper saturated. This one is beautiful. If you buy an Ace Beauté palette and you think that you are going to hit pan, you're not. These palettes are going to last you forever and ever. So much saturation. This one is from Beauty Bay. It's so pretty. This is the Earthy palette. Love it. Do you know why I love it? Can you guess? Because it's green. Not just because it's green. I mean, obviously because it's green, but also Beauty Bay just makes really great palettes. This one is from the Bretman Rock collaboration with Wet n Wild. And that's what that looks like. Ooh, another rainbow palette. Oh, you made a liar out of me. Oh my gosh. Well, this shade right here is probably the most unique red shade I have in my collection. It's literally the color of cayenne. You know, like cayenne? That's what it looks like. Or like paprika. It's wild, man. I don't even reach for this palette. Okay, you're going to survive this round one more again. But if I don't reach for you next time, you have to go and find a new home because you can't stay here. This is another Ace Beauté palette. This is the Oceanic palette. Ooh, yep. Ta-da! Look at those blues and greens. This is the most aquatic palette in every sense of the word. It's so pretty. So pretty. It's beautiful. Obviously, it's a keeper, in case you were wondering. Okay, and then, oops, me and these little slips of plastic, you guys. Why do I keep them? I just do. Here's that other Alter Ego palette. I knew it. This is Artemis, and this is definitely duping one of the Natasha Denona palettes. I'm keeping this one. This one also reminds me of the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. Do you see what I'm saying now? Like, are you with me? You're with me. I know you are, because there's so many palettes in my collection that are just redundant. Like, oh, it's the same one, but by another company, basically. This is from Mented. It's the only other Mented palette that I think they've made. This one is called Every Night Eyeshadow Palette, and it's glorious. It's so beautiful. Look at this palette. Look at it. Tell me you don't love this. Do you see that? Yes. Stays. Okay. Ace Beauté again. This is the Classical Paradise palette. This one I am going to get rid of because I feel like I have enough Ace Beauté palettes that I don't need this one also. At this point, this one is like superfluous. It's just, oh, another one, you know, like just give it a new home. This is from Colored Rain. I believe that it's the only, I have two palettes from Colored Rain. The little 9-pan one I showed you, that's incredible. And this one that is called Queen of Hearts, which is equally incredible. I'm not getting rid of this palette. You will have to pry this out of my cold, dead hand. If I happen to be using it when I die, of course. This is so pretty. It's one of the most beautiful palettes I own in my collection. And I try not to speak in superlatives, but it really, really is. It really is. This palette can replace a ton of palettes that I already showed you. I'm not getting rid of this. I will get rid of at least 30 other palettes before I get rid of this one. That's how committed I am to it. This one is from September Rose, which I believe is a black-owned UK brand, and this one is called Still Pretty. I'll show it to you. Oh, that's right. So I have to be careful with this one because one of the shadows is definitely broken. Right there at the bottom by my thumb, but the rest are fine. And it didn't break in transit. Coming all the way from the United Kingdom, it didn't break in transit. It broke because I think I dropped it. I'm keeping this one. I have not really reached for this one, but I can't seem to get rid of it either. So there you go. That's what that looks like. Sometimes you just can't get rid of things, even though you probably should. Kerr. Probably talk to somebody about that. Okay. And only a few more here, guys. This is the, from Midas Cosmetics. This is the Genesis palette. Again, Midas is a defunct brand, so they are not around anymore. And I'm going to get rid of this palette because I never reach for it. And I think I had a little bit of trouble with it when I was trying to use it. So not going to keep that in my collection. Hopefully somebody else will be able to use it. Okay. And then this one is from Sydney Grace. And this one is called Chase Your Dreams. Look at that packaging. Glamorous. And this is what Chase Your Dreams looks like. It is very grungy. Kind of reminds me of Milk Cosmetics a little bit. I don't think it's coming off grungy on camera because your girl's ring light just washes everything out. Ring light's got to be the star of the show, doesn't it? Okay, there we go. So I don't ever reach for this one. Even though Sydney Grace is supposed to be like a fantastic formula. So I need to probably just set this out somewhere. I can see it and start trying to use it. Figure out if it's for me, if it's my thing. These last palettes are all from Juvia's Place. Let's try to be a little more cutthroat, shall we? You guys need to do better. Okay, these are all from Juvia's Place. Let's just begin. This is the Bronzed Rustic palette. It's a neutral with a pop of coral in it. There you go. And a little bit of mustard right here. This is such a pretty palette, but you know what, honey? You've already got this somewhere in your collection, so it's got to go. This is the Blushed Rose. Oops. Come on. What is this stuck on? Oh, there we go. This is the Blushed Rose. It's a lovely pink. And it has this really beautiful kind of like pinky, silvery, goldy color here and like a gold here. And I love pink so much that this is hard, but I'm going to get rid of this one too. I think after buying the Culture palettes, I realized like everything I need from Juvia's Place is probably in those. And that makes it a little bit easier to get rid of these. This is the Nubian Glow. Same thing. I'm pretty sure I can find all of these or some facsimile thereof in those Culture palettes. So yeah, I'm getting rid of palettes I never thought I would get rid of, you guys. That's something else, ain't it? This one too. This is gonna go. Oh, sorry, that one was called the Vanessa. This one is called Olori 3. Oh, this is really unique because of that blue right there. Don't deliberate too long. Make up your mind, Missy. Keep it or get rid of it. I'm going to keep this one because it's really unusual. I'm going to keep that one. This is the Olori 1. And I've used this one. I made some really cool looks with this one. But I know I can get these shades out of the Culture palettes for sure. This is the Olori 2. Ditto. These are the blues I was telling you guys about. They're so pretty, but I know I can pull this off using the Culture palettes. or is it culture or subculture? I can't remember. I put it away already. These are the mauves, and that's what that looks like. I'm not getting rid of this palette. I know I have these colors somewhere in my collection 4, 5, 16, 22 times, but I'm not getting rid of this palette. Go tell your mama. This one is the Nubian Royal. I know I have these colors in the culture palettes, or the subculture. I think it's called the culture. Subculture? I have the memory of a gnat these days. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I'm getting rid of this one. I love purple, but I'm getting rid of that one. Just kidding. I'm going to keep it. This is the chocolates. Do you remember we just looked at a chocolate palette from her just a second ago? The coffee shop? Yeah, I know. I know. It's so hard sometimes. It's so hard because I love my neutrals. What's wrong with me? Should I keep it? Even though I already have this palette now like 2, 3 times. But what's another one, right? Okay, we're going to let this survive this round. And then it may not survive next round. And this is the last one. It's the Blushed Rose. Okay. Here's the thing. I have a weakness for pink. There's something about pink in me that I don't know. It's something about us. I'm going to get rid of this because, as you guys saw, I already have how many other pink palettes? How many does one person need? There are 5 palettes sitting off camera. 3 are from Norvina. I just bought them. 1 is from Glamlight. I just bought it. And then the other one is from a brand called Kerr Cosmetics, and I just bought that one. Those are the only other 5 that I'm not showing on camera, aside from all the luxury palettes, because I'm not getting rid of those. But everything else I showed you, I promise. Let's find out how many palettes we're getting rid of. Hold on. Okay. If you guys were keeping track, you are the real MVPs. I am decluttering 60 palettes. 60. That's it. That's all I got for you. I know it was a lot. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was totally necessary. If I want to bring more stuff into my collection, I'm going to have to get rid of stuff because I can't have a collection that's massive. Now, there is a caveat emptor. As I mentioned to you guys already, I have palettes that are off camera, and I have designer palettes that are in a drawer. I'm not going to get rid of those, but also, if you look over my shoulder, in here and here are also palettes, but they're not palettes that I'm going to declutter. I have my Pimby palettes in there. So these ones, let me show you. These are my Pimbys, my Playing and Makeup by Yolando. I have all of them except for, I think, 2 of the smaller ones. And then, let's see, I can put this back carefully. I also have my e.l.f. palettes, my little ones, the bite-sized ones that I love so much. These survived the last declutter. This one I still reach for, I love. Same thing here, this was a repurchase. These are new, and then these are 2 palettes that are for nostalgia purposes from a friend of mine. And that's it. So, yes, my collection is considerably pared down by getting rid of 60 palettes, sending them off to new homes, hopefully where they will be loved. And now I can make room for some of the other palettes I've had my eye on. I'm really interested in some indie brands right now. So yeah, I think that's probably where I'm headed for the holiday season. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, you guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.